All right, so um, that's pretty much the content of the week. You're going to get a lot out of the videos. Again, the videos are fairly long, so there's a decent amount of material to get through. So I don't want to like bog you down with the lecture. In terms of main points for the week, definitely the idea of hominid emergence. Out of hominid emergence, what we really have is uh, bipedalism at this point, and also non-honing chewing are the very important pieces. We'll also, as we move forward, we'll start adding to those original 6 steps to humanness that we talked about at the very beginning. So we're getting to those. Bipedalism and non-honing chewing are part of that. We'll get into eventually kind of when anthropologists realize that speech may have been included, things like hunting, domestication of animals, and some of those other things will start to add to that conversation. So again, bipedalism, non-honing chewing are huge among the hominid emergence. Pre-Australopithecines, these are your Tungenensis and Tacadensis, and then also your two Arties, Ramidus and Cadaba. Now, I wanted to kind of close this week's lecture with a little bit of a caveat. Um, Remember, I think that the field itself, biological anthropology especially, can be very controversial. And many times the controversy is around the lack of information. Again, when I was in school taking biology, or even when I started to major in anthropology, we didn't have these. I graduated in 2001. Tacadensis and Tungenensis were being discovered right around that time period. So they hadn't been released to the public. Remember, it takes a lot of scrutiny by scientists and anthropologists to admit that these are, again, ancestors of what age, dating techniques, all of those things. They've got to run through. They've got to be run through the scientific kind of code, which is other anthropologists looking at the data and confirming that data. So again, for me, the questions, even when I was in a BA, of the missing links were, again, that conversation was still kind of out, right? It hadn't been filled in at all. And with the Arties and Tacadensis and Tungenensis, again, we're starting to fill in those gaps and those holes in terms of the storyline. Remember what I told you about the difficulty in finding fossils, but also the creation of fossils becomes another part of this issue around not having a lot of evidence to put forward. As more and more people look, and as you'll see with the Sahelanthropus tacadensis video, that individual just took a shot in the dark and decided to look in a new place. And again, most of the world has not been looked at, and a lot of Africa, a lot of people keep kind of looking in these original places. So a lot of that fossil evidence is still to be filled in. So I think, remember, the science is kind of catching up with I would say it's catching up, but it's not being included into our maybe curriculum that we're used to. So maybe if we took a high school biology recently, these things are not in the forefront of conversation. And again, this is the field of anthropology. So if you're, if this conflicts with your worldviews or whatnot, then I would just say, put it aside as a field of thought and or inquiry. But it's not here to question your worldview so much. This is definitely where the class starts to move into human evolution, and that's why I wanted to kind of have that discussion and that caveat. Again, if individuals have kind of more individualistic questions and maybe are not necessarily comfortable explaining those things within their discussion board, I'm happy to field email questions as well. So again, just let's leave that kind of line of communication open during this time, because the rest of the semester really moves into deeper level human evolution conversations in terms of hominid ancestry. We'll get into the Australopithecines next week, and then after that we move into the our relatives on the Homo branch of things, and then move into Neanderthal, and then we move into more like modern human biology and issues. And really the last week of class, I had it designed around kind of modern medicine and whatnot, and it seems to be rather prevalent in what is happening right now. So we can kind of move towards that conversation as well. I may actually, I think I'm going to put an optional discussion board for this week discussing uh, human disease in particular, those kinds of things. Just so people have a place to discuss maybe what's going on and ask questions as it relates to anthropology, because this is very much an anthropological issue, to be honest. Um, the only reason why we have the flu is because we've been in close contact ever since agriculture with other animals such as pigs, chickens, bats get involved in terms of them being around and then spreading viruses from them to animals like pigs that then we can uptake from pig farmers again, we're close enough in terms of our biology to pigs that then we uptake those things. So just a little bit of a background there, but to tie it into anthropology, it is deeply tied into the field. So I'll put up an optional discussion board around the coronavirus and kind of what that means, and maybe that will culminate into kind of that last week of school. Anyway, all take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and have a great week.